Hi, my name is Thomas Borselli. When starting History of Newark, I generally didn't know how I would relate to it. I'm not from Newark. I commute. We've covered a lot of topics to the span of our course, from who we have monumentalized to the importance of who we monumentalize. From the queer community, how they're depicted, how they've been around for much longer than realistically depicted or discussed, to the blighting of a community, to riots, and rebuilding. What I didn't expect was to see me there. I'm Italian and Puerto Rican. With little to no ties to my Hispanic heritage, it was interesting to start learning about it in History of Newark. I was extremely surprised to find out that Newark had a Puerto Rican population, nevertheless one that was large enough to influence things like elections or participate in riots. The fact that I've never heard anything about Puerto Rican history in any school that I've ever attended, whether it be elementary school, where I was in a more diverse population, or it was down in South Jersey where it was more Caucasian, strictly shows the importance of documenting oral histories of different cultures. What we're taught in school barely scratches the surface of history, but also excludes an immense diversity of history. Since I've never learned about Puerto Rican history, it felt really important to hear about it in History of Newark. My grandfather, Michael Colon, used to tell stories of Puerto Rico and meeting my grandmother once they came to America. He instilled in me the importance of the words that we speak and the power that is behind them. In 1917, the Jones-Shafroth Act is signed by President Woodrow Wilson. This grants citizenship to Puerto Ricans. But let's not forget how words are powerful. This same act also allows Puerto Rican men between 18 and 45 to be eligible for the draft. This would mean approximately 20,000 Puerto Ricans served in World War I, and around 65,000 served in World War II. It was originally viewed as an act that would strengthen the bond between Puerto Rico and the United States. In reality, this would also give them access to protecting the Panama Canal, which the United States had deemed was an incredible asset in World War II. The issue with this is they masked this need behind a story. The guise that this would benefit Puerto Rico, despite it being pretty much in their benefit to exploit and use their people in the draft, while also ensuring they had access to the Panama Canal. This act also opens up mass migration to Newark from Puerto Rico in the 50s, where there's work in leather, iron, transportation, and brewing. Then came the 60s, and Newark was down on its luck, as well as its Puerto Rican community, who were massively unemployed and treated as cheap labor. In the fight to stop the Medicine and Dentistry College, Puerto Ricans joined in to keep from destroying their homes. And then they also helped elect the first black mayor, Ken Gibson, in 1970. Then, under Ken Gibson's watch, the 1974 Puerto Rican riots took place. Up until now, Puerto Ricans had also been fighting for visibility in a very black and white world. When migrating here, Puerto Ricans believed the streets were paved with gold and you make money just by walking down them. This is obviously not the case. The riots came from a place of not being seen, of struggling, of feeling like they had to lash out after a girl was almost trampled at fiestas patronales. Even when trying to look up pictures of the Puerto Rican riots, I struggled to find any, mainly because the 1967 Newark riots overshadowed them. So here's a few pictures of that. Riots don't just spring out of nowhere, though. Society must deal with very extenuating circumstances where they're either pushed to the brink and very fed up with how their world is going, or they're incited. Fiestas Patronales is an enormous yearly celebration that occurs throughout Puerto Rico and other Latin countries, celebrating saints or virgins in Catholicism. These unnecessary mounted police only added to the strife and the conflict that the Puerto Rican community was already facing. With all this, plus obviously a girl almost getting trampled, tempers being flared, and many other issues, including a game of dominoes that was flipped by the police, the levee finally broke. The riots that took place in Branch Brook Park, September 1st, 1974, led to 2 deaths, 1 clubbing and 1 a fatal gunshot wound. Of course, the police were unidentified. This incident led to the requirement that all officers wear identification on the outside of their uniform, and all discharges of a firearm come with an incident report. Was it enough? Hurricane Maria made landfall in Puerto Rico on September 20th, 2017. To say it utterly devastated the island is an understatement. The island was completely destroyed.
And I have to say, in a very nice way, a very respectful way, I'm the best thing that ever happened to Puerto Rico. Nobody even close.